Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard. Hope is not a tactic, the school safety and security show. So, what am I going to talk about today? I always like to bring up some different things. Well, recently I was privileged to go and speak to the New York State School Facilities Association. And we went to a beautiful school district, Monroe Woodbury, in, I guess it's the beginning of the Catskill Mountains. What a fabulous school. I mean, this thing was just beautiful. They have security officers. They got tons and tons of security things in place. They are really on top of things. So that's where they hosted the training, and there was over 1,000 people from the association of school um, facilities people there, and they all came to learn all different things about how to run a school properly. And one of the things was me, and I was asked to talk about school safety and security from the point of view of the facilities team. Now, in many school districts, if they don't have a specific school safety and security group, a leader, a director, whatever, the facilities people often are the people who are in charge of that. So it was great to go speak to them. They had great questions. They were all very, very interested. One of the things my experience being in the schools is that we find out how much the people in the schools really do care about our kids. They really do want to do the right thing. The problem is for most of them is that they don't always know what to do and they're not sure how to go ahead with it. And that's why we do this show. And that's why we try and bring this information out for everybody. So brought to you by, as they say, that help makes all this possible, Blue 360 Media, my publisher, Riot Tint. That is a company that makes window safety film. Awesome stuff. You have to take a look at it. It's one of the first things I recommend for any kind of an assessment I do. You got to keep the windows safe and secure, keep the glass to keep people out. MedicalEssentialDiagnostics.com. They're in New Jersey. They still haven't given me a poster, but MedicalEssentialDiagnostics.com. They're in New Jersey right now. They are a company that provides healthcare screenings for you and two adults. If you're any kind of a state worker, town worker, municipal worker, especially first responders, you go to them and you get a health screening at no cost to you. And like I said, you can bring two adults in your family with you, find out that you're okay or you have a problem, get ahead of it so you can enjoy your career and enjoy your pension. All right. And our newest sponsor, Dubby Dubby Energy Drinks. All right, awesome. It's really good stuff. Dubby.gg if you like energy drinks. All right, so I'm going to talk about the program that I did for them, and I'll go through some of the things that I did provide to them because it was really a great opportunity to go and talk with them. So I presented a couple of things that I think people need to know. And it was interesting when the leader of the group reached out and said, "Hey, we want to have safety and security there. Can you give us some ideas of what you would talk about?" So I gave them 5 topics. Here's 5 topics I think you could choose from. And the woman in charge, she was really very nice. She says, "That's great. Could you do all 5 of them?" And I said, "Sure." But we only had an hour. So we touched on things lightly to give them some information, which is what I want to do for you. Give you some information of things you can consider. All right, so recently I wrote an article, and like I said, you can always get all my articles. You write to me, Joe at pangarotraining.com. Joe at pangarotraining.com. Hey, Lieutenant, I'd like that article you talked about. This one is Spring Break is the right time to strengthen school security. Actually, summer break. Summer break is the right time to strengthen school security. So all of this kind of dovetails together for you. You want to make your school safer. So when I talk about these things, one of the first things I think every district needs is de-escalation training for every member of the staff. And I mean every member. So I have done this program when I left law enforcement. I'm an FBI trained hostage crisis negotiator. That's what I did for many years. When I retired from law enforcement, I went to the schools as a director of school safety and security. And one of the things I saw was the urgent need for every district for people to have de-escalation training. I had no idea how often parents get upset, how often people can wander into the building, how often students get upset about things, and staff can get upset. They got things going on in their lives that create mini or big crises. So I created this program called Crisis in the Classroom. and it's all about de-escalation training. And we're going to do a series of it here. All right, it's going to be multiple episodes, but it's going to break down how to do de-escalation so that you can learn some of the things that you need to know should you find yourself in a situation where you have to be the de-escalator when something happens, right? You know, sometimes the smartest thing to do is to step away from that, but sometimes you can't avoid it and you have to deal with it. So at this presentation, one of the first things we talked about was the need for this de-escalation training. And what de-escalation training does, it provides anyone who gets it. So I do it for schools. We call it crisis in the classroom. We do it for summer camps, right? I call it crisis in the camp. Law enforcement, I do a 2-day actual crisis, hostage crisis program. But we also do crisis in the workplace because it happens at business, crisis in the religious facility. People have a tendency to go off everywhere. All right. So, what does de escalation training teach you? First of all, it teaches you to understand the difference between somebody having a bad day and somebody who's in a crisis. And again, it could be a small crisis or a big crisis. And you have to differentiate between that when you're dealing with this person, because we can easily mistake a bad day for a crisis or mistake a crisis for a bad day. And that's when we get in trouble. So we talk about understanding the differences. All right. So say somebody comes into work and they're having a bad day. They're upset about something at home, has nothing to do with work. And they start barking at you, rah, 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 rah. And you say, hey, man, what's the matter with you? What are you yelling at me for? Most people who are just having a bad day will recognize, oh, sorry, I shouldn't, I'm just annoyed, things going on at home. That's a bad day. A person in crisis, they're not going to respond the same way. They don't respond the same way, right? So they might be barking at you. They're upset. You say, hey, what's going on with you? Hey, just shut up. Leave me alone. Blah, blah. And you realize this is out of character for this person. Something is up here. They may be having some kind of problem, marital problem, financial problem, healthcare problem, getting in trouble at work. All kinds of things can cause people to go into crisis. So understanding what we're dealing with is extremely important. I'll tell you a quick story. I do a lot of work for a large urban school district. And one of the things that I was teaching their security people, de-escalation. And they said, there's this girl in our school. She's a very nice girl. She's very educated. She's smart. She's a nice girl, 16 years old, right? So she's a sophomore or a freshman. And, every day she's very pleasant. Well, she comes in one day and she's drinking her bottle of water, and they're not allowed to bring outside water into the building because some kids have brought alcohol in the bottle. So they told her, you got to throw the bottle away. Well, she says, I just want to finish my bottle of water. I don't feel good today. I just want to drink my water. I said, you can't. Stand over there. You'll be late for class, or you can throw the bottle in the garbage and go in. Well, she ends up throwing the bottle at the security officer, hitting him in the head, starts screaming and hollering. They had to wrestle this girl and get her inside the building. They had no idea why she was freaking out. Turns out when they investigated to find out she had been being abused at home. And the night before, she confided to a girlfriend who then called the police. And then the police began an investigation. And you can imagine the difficulty that caused at her home, because the person who was causing the abuse was the one who was in her family, it was her dad. And she was all upset. And the water bottle incident, that was the trigger of the event. She wasn't mad about the water. She had dropped her bottle 100 times. It was the trigger event. What was going on at home was what had her in crisis. So understanding de-escalation is huge. Maintenance and reporting of problems with door locks and door windows and safety and security things is huge. To have the log and to have somebody report it and then have it taken care of very quickly. One of the things we find is that our maintenance departments, custodians, are very, very busy. When you see what they do all day, they work from morning till night. My brother is a custodian in a big school district, and they are busy from the minute they get there till the minute they go home. And a lot of times teachers will report things. They'll by saying, hey, listen, the door in room 37 doesn't work. You got to get down there and fix it. Oh, okay. Well, the person's in the middle of 17 other things. The proper way to do this is to have a system in place to report things in writing. And then someone monitors that. Oh, look, I have a report. The door in room 37 doesn't work. Prioritize that and then get down and repair it and document that you repaired it. So we talk about that as being extremely important. Another thing we talked about was understanding the basic threat assessment, the physical threat assessment that you can get on your facilities. And I had to have a couple of hundred people in this program. And initially, everybody, oh, yeah, yeah, we do that all the time. We do that all the time. And then as I started to talk to them, you found out they do check things on a regular basis. They do look at their equipment. They do walkthroughs. They do lockdowns and all. But they never had somebody like me actually come in and do an outside assessment on their safety and security and how valuable and important that can be. So when I do an assessment, we look at over 120 areas of safety and security in the school. And we write a very detailed report showing you your strengths, your weaknesses, things that you can improve on, and how to do it. And I give you a roadmap that tells you this year do these things, low cost or free. Next year, budget for this. The year after that, budget for the bigger ones. So understanding all of that is extremely important to everybody there. So we go into that in detail. Then we talked about understanding, seeing potentially dangerous situations before they erupt into violence. All right. So one of these topics is leakage, right? Leakage is a term that we use to say when people that commit violence, a school shooter, someone who attacks people in the building, that is not something that just erupts, right? This is something that is usually a very growing process. Someone has a problem, they have a grievance, and it grows over time until it finally leads to violence. Well, what I teach people how to do, this is the human threat assessment side of what I do, is how do you recognize the things that people say as warning signs? Is it a low level, medium, or high level threat? Oh, there's my dog. He must hear some kind of a threat because he likes to bark when he hears anything. Um, so we can have these kind of problems. So I teach them what to look for. What is leakage? Well, it can be the clothing that people start to wear. It can be the writings, the drawings, the doodling, the social media posts. All of this very, very important to understand. And we also talk about securing your buildings at nights and weekends and for after hours, right? A lot of us have stuff when the kids are in school, but what do we do at nights when people use our places and weekends when there's sports going on? And how do we secure it when outside groups come in? So all of these things are very important. So I want you to reach out to me at joe@pangarotraining.com. Say, hey, Lieutenant, I'd like to read those articles. I'd like to know more. I'm going to do a program on every one of these topics as we go down the road. So I just want to give you a little preview and let you know. Get ready, here it comes. But remember our sponsors. Take care of our sponsors because they bring this information to you. So be a part of the solution out there, my friend, not a part of the problem. This is Lieutenant Joe saying, see you down the road.